Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Sorry, the channel has been quiet over the last week or so. Last weekend I had D&D with my friends, so unfortunately I wasn't able to record anything last weekend. But I still feel like I should post something this weekend, so instead of posting our tournament from today, I'm coming here with a deck profile for the deck that I used yesterday at our locals. We had a quiet locals yesterday, so we did more of a round robin as opposed to a full-on multi-round tournament. So it became more of like testing for the people that were there for decks they wanted to use. So we all kind of picked like different decks that we were either labbing or had finished but needed to like verify, like kind of if it functioned the way we intended it to. In my case, that I was the latter. So I have here a GabuBond stun deck that I've been working on over the last couple of days. The Gabumon with the GabuBond package was fun and all. Netting the draws was really nice. So much draw power, it's actually insane. But when pieces just don't get in your hand, it kind of just flatlines, and that was a bit of an issue. But while playing it, I realized how much I just love this deck, this specific engine, just in its entirety. So I instead went back into the labs and I tested a OTK kind of variant, and it kind of just progressed from there into this beast of a deck that actually did quite well. The winner of the tournament was still Kanan from last week, playing D Reaper again. He didn't really have anything he wants to test because he's waiting for his cross-hard stuff to arrive so he can test that out. So he's still running the D Reapers. He's probably going to be running the D Reapers for a while, and this is also a really good counter to that because it blitzes fast. And if I can kill him fast enough, I don't need to worry about the rest of the Reaper stuff. Most of the games did go into blitzing, but I just kept missing certain pieces here and there, and I'll explain that while I go through the cards. But I know exactly what I'm changing and what I'm testing for next weekend. Hopefully we have at least a 8-man, so we can do a 3-round tournament. But for now, this is kind of what I've tested. Just note that I do record then the following week post. So next weekend there won't be any videos on Saturday or Sunday either, due to the fact that I will be recording only next weekend, and then I will be editing and posting it the following weekend because I only edit between my normal work. But next weekend I'll be moving away from Digimon for a quickie, and I'll be live streaming some Genshin Impact because new character's coming out and I really want to pull for her and test her out. So just a heads up there. So without further ado, let's get into the deck profile. So first on up, let's just go through the eggs. I'm running 4 Kyaremon. The reason I'm running this is because of another package that I've teched into the deck. Kiara's inherited ability is once per turn on your turn. When one of your opponent's Digivolution cards is trash, trigger a draw 1. People will mostly know this from Blue Hybrid because it's the entire concept of Blue Hybrid is stunning opponents without sources. So they just keep stripping, and then every strip they get a draw out of it. In this version of the deck, I do hit this sometimes, but not all the times, and I'll explain why when I get further into the deck profile. But it's still a good, nice package to have because that draw is just so free, especially with the cards we are running in this deck. So yeah, so we're running 4 Kyaremon. Next up, we've got the cream of the crop, the best part about this deck, which is, of course, the GabuBond. GabuBond is just an insane level 7, and the fact that this deck basically cheats it out is just amazing and way too hectic to say. You can hardcast it for 14, which I did do, and it did apply some pressure because my opponent was bricking. So hardcasting it for 14 sounded bad in my head, and then when I saw he was bricking for like 2 turns in a row, I was like, you know what, screw it, I might as well just get some early aggression. Because if you cheat out the GabuBond, it normally deletes itself at the end of the turn, so with this way I kind of guaranteed the body on board and it remained there. So GabuBond's abilities are, when attacking once per turn, if you have a Tamer in play, you may unsuspend it. So this at least things twice. But the best part about this card isn't the 14k 2 swings, it's the secondary ability, which is When attacking, return one of your opponent's level 5 or lower Digimon to the bottom of their deck and trash all the cards underneath it. This is frankly insane. You're not really scared of level 6s because there are other ways to kind of clear them in the deck, but that just kind of stops people a lot of time dead in their tracks, wiping boards in a matter of seconds, just because that is not once per turn. So every swing bottoms something on the field. So if they're busy swarming you, this makes sure that doesn't get out of hand anytime soon. In conjunction with the GabuBond, you obviously need something it digivolves onto. But before that, let's go over the way we cheat this out, which is, of course, Matt Ishida. So this is the Matt from BT6, the same set GabuBond came out in. This mat allows you to cheat out the GabuBond, basically. So it's a 3-cost tamer, which is on the cheap side, especially for what it does. I feel like this should have been a 4, even though I love this deck and I wouldn't want that to be the case, but it feels a little unfair at times. So your turn, when one of your Digimon with Gabumon or Gabumon is promoted, draw 1 card and gain 1 memory. Like, that is insane. Personal opinion, this is better than memory tamers at sometimes, because it just nets you the draw. Because even if they choke you at 1, if you have 2, not only are you basically a memory tamer, anyways, you get 2 draws out of it, which is insane because it helps you find your pieces for the rest of the deck to function. It also then has the effect, which is main once per turn. Digivolve one of your normal Gabumon, so your level 3 Gabumons, into a Gabumon Bond of Friendship from your hand for its Digivolution cost, for a cost of 3 basically, ignoring its level. If you do, trash the top 2 cards of your security. So that's a pretty steep cost, but then it says if you have 1 or more security, delete that Digimon at the end of the turn. So Gabumon clears itself if you use it early, but this entire deck revolves around you wanting to use it every turn. So you normally do 1 turn Gabumon, 2nd turn Gabumon kill. You would like to do OTK once, but sometimes it just doesn't happen, so just make sure you can at least do it multiple times. To go with this, this is the OTK enabler in my opinion, which is the BT6 Gabumon that has the ability, once per turn when you play a mat, gain 1 memory. That doesn't happen very often. What you want is the Inherited, which is when attacking once per turn, if this is a Bond of Friendship, you may unsuspend it. That gives a GabuBond 1 extra swing. So initial swing effect unsuspend, second swing on swing inherit effect unsuspend, and then third swing. So that's 3 swings if you have the correct Gabumon underneath it. Moving on from that, we have the EX01 Gabumon. Now, this is actually insane for the deck because of its inherited ability. Because it's when attacking once per turn, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, add a tamer, and a card with Gabumon specifically in its name. This thing searches your Gabumon because it's Gabumon Bond of Friendship. So you swing with, you Digivolve this, you swing with it, and then you fetch a mat and a GabuBond just for swinging. It's frankly insane. This is a huge searcher for the deck. I wish I could play more of it, or more like it, but this is the only card that kind of does that in a neat way. Most Digimon either search Tamers or Digimon. This does basically everything the deck needs it to do in one Digimon. So this is a mandatory forum. Then finally, look, closing off all our Gabumons is Gabumon X Antibody. Now, you don't play this for the search, because it's on play when Digivolving, reveal top 3, add a card with Garuru or Omni in its name, and an X Antibody among them to your hand, place the rest at the bottom. You don't play it for that. You play it because it's a 0 cost to Digivolve on another Gabumon. This is a pseudo level 4 to turn our Gabumon over here into the attacker we need to get the inherited ability off. This thing is absolutely insane. It basically makes my level 4 lineup smaller, and it also is a Gabumon to proc off of Matt's effect. Because a lot of the times I had the EX01, I Digivolved into a level 4 and then pulled it out, but I didn't get the Matt effect because obviously I pulled out a non-Gabumon Garurumon. This is a Gabumon, so this kind of solves that issue. So this is technically a pseudo level 4 for this deck specifically, and it does wonders for the strategy. So I'm just going to slide this over here to the left because I want to kind of fan out the packages for you guys. So that's the entirety of the GabuBond package. It's small, it's neat, it just does its job, and it does it well. Next, OTK enablers. We've got 4 offensive plugin A. While you have a tamer in play, ignore the color requirements. Enough said. Then the main ability, if one of your Digimon gets security +1 for the turn. This is insane. If you have your mat, you obviously have your mat out, it digivolves into the Gabumon, the mat's still there, so you activate this, you give your Gabumon security +1, so if it has the correct Gabumon under it, it swings 3 times for 2 checks each swing. This thing clears. This is the OTK enabler. Obviously, if you do this turn 1, it's a little bit more suboptimal, but if you've already had a turn where you've popped 1 security, this is the OTK. You swing once, clear 2, swing twice, clear 2, that's all their security gone. Last swing for game. Perfect. This thing is insane. After that, we've got 2 copies of Lightning Joust, just in case we don't have the offensive plugin A. I don't know if I'd like this just yet. This is a card I'm considering taking out, just because it's not completely reliable. So its ability is, when one of your Digimon gets 2k DP for the turn, which is great, because it turns this into 17k, which gets over like Wyvern's Breath, minus DPs and stuff like that. And then if the issue I have with the card is it's 1 cost, which is beautiful, but it's if your security stack is less than or equal to your opponent's, one of your Digimon gets security +1. So it happens often, but I do feel it's way too situational for the deck sometimes, and I'm not enjoying it fully, so I don't know how much I'm committed to the Lightning Joust, but it is a cool secondary offensive plugin A for cheaper, basically. So I want to keep it, but I don't know if it's doing enough. So I'm just going to need to test this more. So this will stay in the deck for now, but this might be removed in a future iteration of the deck. Next up, we've got 2 Matt Ishida and Sora Takanuchi. So this is the enabler for the Lightning Joust. I don't think I'm going to keep this. I think I'm going to switch this out for rather Hiro Amikawa. Because Hiro is a memory setter, so I'd rather have that. And also on swing, if you swing with a 6k level 6 or higher, tap Hiro, give it extra DP. So I feel like that will then fulfill this job of the extra DP gain a little bit better. And you need the 3 memory to digivolve for the 3 cost evolution. It's still good. It happens every now and then that it gives me a bit extra, because start of your main phase, if you have 8 or more cards in your hand, gain a memory. If your opponent has 8, gain another memory. So sometimes it gives me like a lot of memory, but for the play cost of 4, I feel like Hero would give me a bit more advantage than this does. So I think I'm going to switch it out and test something else. The second effect I never really procced, which is when one of your blue or red Digimon becomes unsuspended, you may suspend this tamer to return one of your opponent's level 3 Digimon to its hand. It's redundant because, number 1, level 3s are very rarely on the board when this thing came out for me, and also, Gabumon already sending everything to the bottom of the deck. I don't want to bounce it to their hand, especially considering in modern Digimon, most level 3s are search cards, draw cards, and stuff like that, so I'd rather not give them back advantage. I know they'd be having to recast it for the play cost, but it's just a 3 play cost level 3. I feel like it's not a worthwhile trade in my opinion. Okay, cool. That's just the small red package to give this a bit of a deadly boost to allow the OTK. The next package is one I'm sure most people will know and hate me for. So we've got 4 Kumamon, 4 Korikakumon, and this is the hybrid engine of the deck. So Kumamon on play strips, I believe it's on play, on Digivolve trash 1 Digivolution card from the bottom of one of your Digimon, your opponent's Digimon. So they're stripping, triggers Kiaru, and then Korikakumon, when Digivolving, if a card with hybrid or a tamer is underneath it, one of your opponent's Digimon with no sources can't attack or block until the end of next turn. This thing is great because this thing just stuns out the opponent's board and buys you time if you haven't found your pieces yet. So that's the reason this is an OTK stun deck, because here's the stun portion to let you find your OTK pieces. It's also a blue, so it hybrids onto any of my tamers. That's kind of why I put in the Matt and Sora initially, because it fulfills the red requirements for the Lightning Joust, but it's still a blue to Digivolve onto with the hybrids. But much like how I'm thinking of switching this out, I'm not gonna lie, I've considered either reducing or just removing this package altogether, just because I feel like it doesn't do everything I need it to do, and it kind of hindered me more than helped me. I never really hybrid for game often. It's GabuBond for game. So the concept of this being making my tamers a threat, while fun and all, isn't actually doing what I needed to do. And then we also have the one Tommy to finish off the hybrid package. Tommy is an on-play trash 3 cards from the bottom of one of your opponent's Digimon, which is great and all, and when attacking once per turn until the end of your opponent's next turn, one of their Digimon with no Digivolutions can't attack or block. So hard play Tommy, Digivolve into something, swing, and they're stunned. Again, this is all great, but I feel like there's other cards I could take in at higher numbers, so I'm considering really taking this out. I might leave possibly the Kuma in and take out these 5. I might go a 2-2 line and remove Tommy completely, just so that I can rather take in some other option cards, which I will show you when we get there. I also run the one Sora Joe, just because we're stripping so much. Sora Joe will often proc. Their effect is at the start of the turn, if your opponent has a Digimon, any Digimon with no sources, gain 2 memory. Great, but if I'm removing the Digimon side of the source stripping, I don't know how often this will go off. I might keep it in just so I can keep my team account relatively high, but it's not really doing anything for me. So this package is very subject to change right now in my mind, and I'm really considering alternate options for him. Next, we've got the option cards, which are 2 Innocence Blizzards. This is insane. This is the biggest, this is the most BS card in this entire deck, because it cheated out so many wins for me when my opponent was absolutely decimating me. So its ability is main trash the bottom Digivolution card of all your opponent's Digimon, then up to 3 of your opponent's Digimon with no sources can't attack or block until the end of your opponent's next turn. This is great because you hit them with it early, their entire board is stunned, they can't get that early game chip damage, or they have to commit to the Digivolutions, in which case you then just strip them anyways and they feel completely defeated at the end of it because they tried to play around it and instead played into other things later down the line. So it's a really BS card, but it's really important for the stun aspect of this deck. Speaking of stun, we've got 3 Howling Memory Boosts. So its main effect is trash up to 2 Digivolution cards from the bottom of one of your opponent's Digimon. Then one of your opponent's Digimon with no sources can't attack or block until the end of your opponent's next turn. Place it into your battle area, and then it's got main delay the following turn or any turn after the turn you used it, you can trash it to gain 2 memory. So this was my MVP at times, because I would have enough to Digivolve into GabuBond, but I had plugins in my hand that I wanted to play, I couldn't play them. This helped me play them, because I popped this, got the 2 memory I needed to play the 2 cost plugin, and then swung in for game. These 2 cards alone make this deck highly toxic stun, a highly toxic stun deck, just in general. So I might be bumping these 2 counts when I reduce these Digimon, because I feel like 4 copies of this would be great, and 4 copies of this would definitely be fantastic. After that, we've got basically tech cards. We've got, obviously because it's a blue deck, 3 Hammer Spark, it's free memory, 0 cost. It's also a bomb and security, giving you 2 memory if they flip it, so there's really no reason not to be playing this. We've got the 1 copy of Ice Wall, because it's restricted at 1. All of your opponent's Digimon gain when attacking, lose 2 memory until the end of their next turn. Once again, it's a stall card, it gives you time, it makes them think about not swinging half the time. A lot of my opponents don't want to swing. Better opponents will just plan around it, or make your next turn a lot worse. So this only really works against average players or good players who have bricked or have burnt most of their resources. So it's really good, but in terms of this deck, it's okay, but it's definitely a worthwhile option to be playing. Next up, we've got our removal in 2 Rattlestar and 1 Cocytus Breath. Rattlestar is you return one of your opponent's level 5 or lower Digimon to their hand, or if they're swarming you and your opponent has 3 or more Digimon in play, return one of your opponent's Digimon to the bottom of their deck instead. No level requirement, so you can trash level 6s with this. So this is why I said the issue of GabuBond only bottoming level 5s or lower didn't really exist, because its own option card, because it is GabuBond on the artwork, its own option card basically mitigates the level restriction of this card's removal. This does everything else. Then Cocytus Breath is basically the blue version of Gaia Force, but instead of deleting, it bounces. So this bounces, return any of your opponent's Digimon to its hand, trash all the sources underneath it. Security effect is exactly the same. It's just activate the main effect. So these are your removal options for the deck, and it kind of just gives you a bit of an out in case they've got something on the board that is sticking too much. In the case of Kanan's D-Reapers, this helped me get rid of gatekeepers that were sticking to the board that I needed off so that I could get my security pluses live again. In terms of switching, like I said, I'm probably going to reduce the count of this. I'm considering switching this to Hero, but every single time the thought comes to mind, I'm like, yes, that's great and all, but if I'm going to be playing Hybrid, should I not have dual color Tamers since the option is available? If that's the case, maybe I might switch these for 2 heroes instead. And then the 3 tech options I'm thinking of swinging into the deck just to add a little bit more aggression and consistency is, I believe it's BT5. No, it's BT8. Apologies. It's BT8 Leomon. BT8 Leomon's effect is where if it's deleted, gain 2 memory and draw a card. So that's great. So Digivolve into EXO1, Digivolve into Leo, swing, on swing, search, and then if it doesn't die, great, you burst the security. If it does die, you get 2 memory and an extra draw for your troubles. So I feel like it adds a bit more aggression, and it gives me better options than these. Because oftentimes I would Digivolve into a Kumamon onto the EXO1 and just either lose advantage from the Kumamon's effect, or like I said earlier, I would promote the Kumamon and lose out on Matt's effect. So either way, it was a little bit of a 50-50. So there's that I'm thinking of taking in, and then there's 2 Gabumons I'm considering ordering online because they're also really good options. The one is a promo, but I have found a site that sells the promo, and they have like multiples of them, so I can get easily 4 copies. And it's a promo Gabumon that says, on play, search top 5, add a tamer among them. So more filtering, never a bad thing. I wouldn't be able to get the GabuBonds, but I would be able to get the mats, because the more mats I have, the more memory I get, and the more draw power I get. So it's always a bonus. The other one is I believe it's BTO1 or BTO2, I think it's BTO1 Gabumon that says on play, draw 1. So again, just a bit of extra draw power, a bit more consistency, and more names to add to the pool. Because you're really only digging for this. You will always find a Gabumon in your hand. It's really just trying to find the Gabumon that is the crux of the deck and the thing that kind of hinders you the most. So with those additions, I don't know how much this deck is going to change. Like I said, I do want to add another Howling. I do want to add 2 more Innocence Blizzards just because these 2 cards are giving me the most value in this deck, stalling me for time just so I can get to that GabuBond. But overall, this deck performed amazing, and I'm very happy with it. I do want to test it next weekend, so not next weekend, but the following weekend when you see those videos on the channel, you will see me piloting this, hopefully against numerous spreads of decks, and seeing if I can clutch it out there. I came second this weekend in our round robin. Kanan came first. Shocker, D-Reaper is OP, but again, while we were playing, it was really good matches though. Against Kanan, it became a who got to their pieces faster. In game 2, I swung 3 times with GabuBond, and I hit 2 gatekeepers, but because I swinged at him turn 1, none of his gatekeepers were live, so they were just bodies on board doing absolutely nothing. Didn't even get the recover off. So with that in mind, like, this is already doing enough against D-Reaper. It just needs that little bit of an extra nudge, because every single game, because the 2 games that I lost to Kanan, they were like this close. So if I can get ways to find my pieces faster, I feel like this close is going to go to non-existent, and I will just clutch out the win there. Because if he's going to be playing D-Reaper until he gets his crosshearts sorted, then I'm going to be playing this and countering that guy. This is also just a very fun deck. I absolutely love this package to death. It is one of my favorite Digimon packages that they've made so far, like archetypes. It's one of my favorite. So I'm really willing to keep playing this for a little bit longer. Don't worry guys, I won't stick to a single deck, otherwise the channel's going to get a bit boring. I will be switching around every other weekend or so to something else. I've got a Justamon deck that I would like to play. I'm testing a new red-purple hybrid deck that I've been labbing for a bit. I've got my own variation of Mastermon with Dan Devimon, as well as some other fun decks like Aosmon and name escapes me now. I believe it's a green hybrid deck. So I've got so many other decks that I can play with. Oh, and I got a Sakuyamon deck that I've just gotten the order through to get my singles for. And a Jesmon deck on its way. I actually got a lot of decks I can play. So you will be seeing other things other than just blue GabuBond. Don't worry. It's just that this is currently what I'm fixated on and currently testing and enjoying testing. So that's it for the deck profile, guys. Let me know in the comments what you would maybe change in this deck, any opinions you might have of it, and I'll be sure to notify you guys on the next upload. Like I said, next weekend's probably just going to be a live stream of Genshin, and then the following weekend we'll go back to Saturday locals, Sunday deck profiles. But until then, guys, I'm Anime Robbie. This is my deck profile. Thanks for watching. Peace.